Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. You might have heard recently that Trump stated that he was going to make a proclamation which said that anyone that comes over from Mexico to the U.S. Will not be eligible to apply for asylum. So, minus the fact that a proclamation like that is just simply racist and mean-hearted, it's not legal. And the moment that such a proclamation, which in today's day and age, there really should not be any proclamations in the United States. So really what it is it is an executive order to attempt to bypass immigration and nationality law, the international treaties, the whole case law and plethora of cases on asylum. And there is no way that such an executive order will ever stand. It'll go to court and an injunction will be issued and it'll ultimately be overturned. So what such an executive order does is it might make things a little difficult in the beginning, but once it gets to court and once, like many other things that Trump has done, it gets overturned, he will see that you cannot simply bypass law by issuing an executive order. So let me discuss why this will just simply not pass and some areas of the Constitution that make it so that such an executive order is completely unconstitutional. So first of all, just basically, when one applies for asylum, you can't apply for asylum outside the United States. So when the president says, through his team, that they're not stopping any application of asylum from outside the United States, they just can't apply for it when they're in the United States, that doesn't make sense. One can apply as a refugee outside the United States if they get basically in a third country, and then they wait the necessary time, and then if they're granted, they can come in, minus the fact that Trump has also reduced dramatically the amount of refugees that can come into the United States. What that's saying is that everybody that's in Mexico, that is from Mexico, they won't be able to even apply for refugee status unless they go to a third country. And if he's talking about, all the Central Americans, which is likely, then if they do apply in Mexico and wait the necessary years, they can get refugee status to come in. But asylum itself, that's applied for once you're inside the United States. So the first constitutional principle we get to is called equal protection. And equal protection means that you cannot treat one class of persons differently than another class for an arbitrary and capricious reason. So, for example, this is clear cut. The president says that if you enter from Mexico, you're not going to be eligible for asylum. He doesn't say that if you enter from anywhere, you're not going to be eligible for asylum. Or if you enter from Canada, you're not going to be eligible for asylum. Or if you fly in from any other place in the entire planet, you won't be eligible. He just says, if you enter from Mexico, you will not be eligible for asylum. Well, that is a clear violation of equal protection. And equal protection is granted as a part of the Constitution for this very reason. I mean, it is clearly meant as a racist action against people from Mexico and Central America to try to stop them from coming into the U.S. Now, as I put in prior videos, they all have a right to come in and apply for asylum. They're all not going to get it. The majority won't get it. And they'll either be voluntarily returned to their home country or they'll enter into deportation. But they have a right. And that right cannot simply be taken away because they come in from Mexico. They are completely treated differently than from anywhere on the world. So if there was an easy case, if there ever was one, to show how there's a violation of equal protection, this would fall right into that category. So that's the first thing. The next is that there are international treaties that the United States has entered into. Now, yet Trump has not exited those treaties. And so those treaties are still into force and effect. And, when you boil down what these international treaties say, the bottom line is they say they will not, if someone's in the U.S., they will not return them to their home country if they will be persecuted and harmed under the various laws of asylum. So, to just simply say, nope, you can't apply for it, that is a clear violation of international treaties, which says that the U.S. will allow them the opportunity to fight for asylum in order to not be returned to their home country, that they may or be persecuted. Now, of course, they have to prove it. There's a difference between being eligible and winning. Okay, they all have a right to apply. So that's the second thing. The third thing is that when they come in to the U.S., there is all kinds of codified law on asylum. This is law that has been passed by Congress. There's statutes, cases, memos, regulations, all kinds of written rules of law which give the procedures for applying for asylum and give the ways that someone can show that they qualify, and gives the burden of proof that needs to be shown, and gives the rules of law as to how a judge and or asylum officer can grant or deny, and the whole procedures. It gives the procedures for appealing for asylum. And by Trump just saying, if you come into the U.S. from Mexico, you can't apply for asylum, it disregards all of that law. It essentially vacates any law that has been done on asylum, and the president does not have the power to do that. There's no way that one branch, the executive branch, can simply override all the law that has been issued on asylum in order to try to stop the people from applying for asylum. There is no rational basis. There's no national security. The president can couch it in terms of, well, it's a national security risk, so therefore, we have to do this. No, there's no rational basis for that. So, what's going to happen, assuming that this proclamation, as the White House puts it, goes through, is this will end up in court so fast, it'll make you dizzy. And you'll see the injunctions will be issued. You'll see that it's unlawful, and you'll see that the people can apply for asylum. It makes it more difficult issuing such an executive order because it has to be fought in court now. But that's how it's been for the last 2 years. Whenever there is an improper executive order, goes to court, the court overturns it or stops it. Just like with DACA. DACA right now, there's been a stop on the president's attempt to stop DACA. And so given that, hopefully I've explained a little bit about why and a proclamation that asylum from Mexico cannot happen anymore will not stand. Hopefully you'll see that it's just a matter of, properly fighting it, properly going to court and getting it overturned. Okay, if you like the video, click like, subscribe, and more in the coming weeks. Thank you.